brings a book. And today I hope you brought a book because we will be talking about my March TBR. I am hopeful with my March TBR. I am not sure how March is going to go because I've got a kind of eventful March with spring break, but then some things happening over spring break. So we'll see what happens. Since this is my first TBR, I'm going to explain how I handle it. And I have really reinvented my TBR in 2026. I used to be a total vibes mood reader, but I realized that I was really stuck in a rut and I was not reading diverse authors. And I wanted to get out of that. I wanted to read more diverse authors. I wanted to read more diverse stories. And I wanted to read more genres. And so I started watching what other people do, started thinking about what I wanted. And so what I do now is I set myself my own challenge on Storygraph every month of types of books and prompts that I want to hit every month. And it varies with the month depending on what that month looks like or something going on that month or what I just kind of think I want to make sure I do. And then I also have TBR cards that I just do for fun. Sometimes those go along with the prompts, which you'll see in a little bit. And sometimes I just do them for fun. I still have my moods, which you'll also see that go along with this, and I do those after I hit the prompts. Typically, the prompts are not all that I read. I read on average about 15 books a month, some months more, some months less, and I do not have that many prompts that I do. So, with that, let's get started. Now, let's first start with I have been really loving books that are about books, bookish books. And so this is one that I have already started, and I'm really enjoying it. It's cozy. It's cozy. It's dealing with grief. So it is called the book. This book made me think of you. And for me, if I have found a book that has made me think of you, that is my love language. That's how I tell you I love you, if a book has made me think of you. So it's about a woman whose husband died 6 months ago, and he set up with the local bookstore to give her one special book a month. And it's and then he writes her a note to go with that book about why he chose that particular book. And the books are so far very surprising. They're not ones you would normally think of. So far, it has just it made me a little bit teary. It's been really sweet, and it has been really a good reminder of just how much books can speak to us and heal us, and also a reminder to care about those people in our lives. The next book is for St. Patrick's Day. So St. Patrick's Day, I really enjoy learning about the history of St. Patrick's Day, more than just what we make it in America and the history of Ireland. And so this book has been on my TBR for years, and it's one of those books that intimidates me. And there is a series based off the book that I have been watching, but I'm going to face this book for St. Patrick's Day. So I wanted to do a book about or set in Ireland, and I'm going to face this intimidating book. It's Say Nothing: A True Story of Murder and Memory in Northern Ireland by Patrick Radden Keefe. I'm going to conquer this month for St. Patrick's Day. I don't know about you, but sometimes I just have to conquer a book and be able to say that. So next we are going to talk about, let's see, I do the Goodreads challenges, and I have 2 parts of the challenge left in order to finish this first quarter. And so I have the persona challenge left. Now, I think some of these personas are a little bit odd, but there is one that has been on my TBR. Now, one thing I do try to do with these prompts is find books that I already have or want to read off of my Goodreads and Storygraph TBR, or already off my shelf, in order to meet the prompts. I try not to buy new books for these prompts. So this was already on my shelf, and it was one of the options for the Goodreads. And so I'm going to read this. And I've had it on my shelf since it came out, and she is a favorite author of mine. But We Are All Guilty Here by Karen Slaughter, about 2 girls who go missing in a small town. And I grew up in a small town, so I know what that's like. It says, until the night of the fireworks, welcome to North Falls, a small town where everyone knows everyone, or so they think. until the night of the fireworks, when two teenage girls vanish and the town ignites. For Officer Emily Clifton, it's personal. She turned away when her best friend's daughter needed help, and now she must bring her home. But as Emmy combs through the puzzle the girls left behind, she realizes she never really knew them. Nobody did. Every teenage girl has secrets, but who would kill for them, and what else is the town hiding? Now, I did previously start this book. It wasn't, sometimes books are just aren't the right timing, and I know I'm going to come back to it, and that was the case, but I think it's the right timing for it. I'm really excited to read this. Now, so it is a big deal for me, something I like to do in March. It is Women's History. The next set of books are all about Women's History Month, which is March. And as a history teacher and a lover of history, I love Women's History Month. I always make sure I do some good reading on it all of the year, but especially in March. And so the first one is historical fiction, of course, because that's one of my favorite genres. And I have two books and I can't decide which I want to do. I might try to sneak in both if I have time. They've both been on my shelf for a while, and so they both need to get read. And I'm not sure which I want to do. The first one is The Mayor of Maxwell Street by Avery Cunningham. This has had rave reviews, and this says the year is 1921, and America is burning. A fire of vice and virtue rages on every shore, and Chicago is its beating heart. It is about African American debutante, it says, and in Chicago during Prohibition. So I'm really looking forward to this book. Also, Finding Margaret Fuller by Allison Pataki, who has a new book coming out called It Girl, which I'm really excited about. So in order to get ready for that, I might read the Allison Pataki I haven't read yet. And she is a young transcendentalist who also happens to run into a bunch of famous people like Louisa May Alcott, Nathan Hawthorne, Henry David Thoreau, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, etc. So they both sound good. I've had them for a long time. I've wanted to read them. It might have to happen. The next one is the only one I'm buying and haven't gotten yet, but it's for the last part of the Goodreads challenge. And the Goodreads challenge is nonfiction this time for Women's History Month. But I saw this book, I got very excited. And the book is When We Ruled: The Rise and Fall of 12 African Queens and Warriors by Paula Akbar. I am so excited. This looks so good. I have set myself a goal to learn more African history, and especially this year to read more diverse authors of different races, different ethnicities, different countries, and different religions. And so having this, I'm really excited about it. I'm also going to read another nonfiction written by a woman about a woman for myself. And so I am going to read The True Happiness Company: How a Girl Like Me Falls for a Cult Like This. I love a good cult story, fiction or nonfiction. And so I'm really excited to read this. It says it's hard for Vina Dinavahi, I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, to live while her classmates keep dying. The high achieving daughter of loving Indian immigrants, Vina lives in a typical white American suburb, except for its unusually high suicide rates. For years, she tries to manage her mental health in all the right ways, but nothing seems to work. Until on a late night Google search, Vina's mom discovers Bob Lyon, a 60-year-old white man in the backwoods of Georgia, who claims he can make Vina want to live again. He calls himself the True Happiness Company, and as the relationship progresses, Daddy, Vina, becomes increasingly enveloped in his strangely close-knit community, and before she knows it, she's a college dropout, married mother of three, and Mormon convert who has gotten way too good at dismissing her gut feelings that something is wrong. It sounds so good. I'm really excited. Okay, in continuing in diverse authors, I every month make sure that I read a diverse author of a different race or ethnicity or religion of some kind. And this month, I'm going to be reading the book We Don't Talk About Carol, which I have been waiting to come in at the library for 6 weeks or more. It can take a while at my library. By Kristen L. Berry. I'm really excited about this book. It's a thriller, which is my number one genre, and I really wanted another thriller to go with my Karen Slaughter thriller. Um, in wake of her grandmother's passing, Sydney Singleton finds a hidden photograph of a little girl who looks more like Sydney than her own sister or mother. She soon discovers that the mystery girl in the photograph is her Aunt Carol, who was one of 6 black girls to go missing from their North Carolina neighborhood in the 1960s. For the last several decades, not a soul has talked about Carol or what really happened to her. So I think this is going to be a really good story, and I'm excited to read it. Also, I wanted to do a classic written by a woman, and so I have 2 books that I picked up at an indie bookstore. I don't have any local indie bookstores in my town, but I happened to be out of town last week and they had these 2, and I was so excited. The first one is 12 Stories by American Women, and it has diverse American women as the authors. So I'm excited to read this, or I might do one of my favorite American women authors, Shirley Jackson. It's Dark Tales. I teach the lottery basically every year by Shirley Jackson as a great example of unexpected twist endings, characters, theme, and so I love all of her short stories, and so I am excited. I can't again. This one might be a game time decision on which one I read depending on my mood. So those are my women's histories and the ones that I know that I'm going to be reading one of those books. So for my last 2 prompts, I have too many. And so I wanted to do something a little fun and draw from my TBR cards to help me choose. And now, not all of my TBR cards will work for this, but we're going to kind of make it work together. So for my TBR cards, I have these cards. They actually tell me how to draw from my TBR cards. So I make it a little fun extra step. It's like a game for me. And then these are my actual TBR cards. Now, some of them have scratch offs on them. The scratch offs are actual cards up on my TBR shelf. So those won't work for this particular situation. So if I happen to get one of those, I will redraw. What will work for this are the ones that don't have the scratch offs and they say things like book with a cool spine. Or let's see, what's another one? That one, let's see, 3 words in a title. That one will work. So if I draw one that doesn't work, I will just redraw based off of what this says. Okay. So the first prompt is I am doing Chantel Reads All Day, her 2026 Read Your Bookshelf Challenge. And I have really enjoyed this challenge. Her prompts are trickier than I'm used to for a challenge. By the way, I really enjoy her channel. She has been I love watching her videos. So I highly suggest going and subscribing to her videos. And so I'm going to be drawing first from here to see how I will draw. And I have a whole stack of books that would work for this. This month's prompt is book with a weapon on the cover. And at first when I heard that, I was like, I have nothing with a weapon on the cover. And I watched her suggestions and she's like, lots of things can be weapons. And I started to think through and I went through all of my TBR. And then I went through some library books and I was like, oh, I have a lot more than I thought I would. So then I was like, I don't know how to do this. So we're going to do it this way. Okay. So I have a whole stack. So let's see here. Draw 5 cards, look at them and put them face down and pick one. That might be difficult for this, but we're going to try. We're going to try. Wish me luck. Okay, so draw 5 cards that would work. Now they are slightly color coded. So the ones that are actual like physical TBR books are green. So let's see, draw 5 cards. The ones that'll work for this should be purple. Okay. So this one, scroll, Goodreads. Okay, that's not gonna work. Good first sentence. Okay, put that one face down. Book about books. That's not gonna work. A new to you author, that'll work. Let's see. Find another one that'll work really well. Published in 2022. I think one of those is published in 2022. Pretty cover. One of those has a very pretty cover. So that's 4. And I don't know if any of these have a place in the title. I don't think any of them have a place in the title. We're going to go with animal on the cover. I think one of them does. Okay, then I'm going to mix these up. They are front and back, but I'm only going to look at the one side that I checked. Okay, and let's see which one we pick. New to you author. I think a lot of them are a new to me author. Okay, all of them are new to me. Almost all of them are a new to me author. That does not help me much. That does not help me much. That doesn't help. Okay, I'm going to pick a second one. Let's see, this gives me pretty cover. Okay, so that does help me because most of these are not a pretty cover. So that for me is either going to be the two fantasy ones, of course. The rest are not fantasy, nor are they a pretty cover. So that's going to be either the House of Fear or the Everlasting, both of which I want to read. I'm going to narrow it down. I'm going to narrow it down. But this is a library book that's hard to get, so I'm going to do the House of Fear. I'm going to do House of Fear by Marissa Meyer, who is a new to me author. Alex Perrow is not, so this actually fits both prompts. Okay, that's the one we're going to do. The House of Fear. I had some really other good choices, so I might try to read some of those anyway. The other one are my leftover library books, and so I try to do another library book, and that's one of my prompts. And I have some leftover library books, so we're going to pick another card from my leftover library books and see if any of them fit. Draw from the bottom. Draw from the bottom. Let's see what it says. Graphic novel. I don't have one of those, but book set in the current season. We're like going into spring, and I don't know if any of these go into spring, so let's see. Any of them say that's nonfiction, that they're like springy. I feel like vibes. No, we don't really say. None of them say like what time of year they're in. So we're gonna pick again. Okay, we're gonna pick again. We're gonna go back to the bottom. Let's see. Has an odd number of pages. Let's see which one has an odd number of pages. The first one to have an odd number of pages. Not the 335. Okay. A Box Full of Darkness by Simone St. James is the one. Box Full of Darkness. I'm excited about this. This looks good. I have not read a Simone St. James book before. I know everybody has, but me it seems like. But we're going to try it out. Okay, so this is my library book pick. So for my book with a weapon on the cover, we are going to do the House of Fear. And for my last library book, we're going to do A Box Full of Darkness. I think I have a really good TBR this month for March. I'm really excited. And of course, when I finish these, who knows where the vibes and the TBR cards will take me. At the end of the month, there will be a wrap up. We'll see. I would love to hear your TBR for the month. What have you got planned? Or are you a total vibes mood reader? Have you read any of these books? Are you planning to read any of these books? I would love to do a buddy read. Anybody want to take on some of these challenges with me? That would be awesome. Okay, this is Katie. Always remember to bring a book.